Welcome back to the food forest. Now, I haven't done a video for a while, but there's a really good reason for it. There's a couple good reasons, actually. The first off is that it's been kind of unseasonably warm, but still cool at the same time. You know, it's just above freezing. We often get snow in and around now, definitely freezing temperatures, but you know, I'm outside in a t-shirt right now. Why that's bad is because ticks are absolutely out of control on my property right now. If I go outside and walk around anywhere, I'll come in and I'll have multiple ticks crawling on my pants. I'm going to have to, as soon as I finish this video, go in and do a full check because ticks are that bad. When the dogs come in, they've got ticks crawling all over them. It's really, really bad this year. The second reason that I haven't done a video in a while is that it's actually light outside now because I'm on my lunch break on a work from home day. I've been away the last couple weekends playing some pickleball tournaments and doing some family stuff. So I haven't actually been able to be at the house at a time where it's light enough to actually record until today. So even if I wanted to make a video in the last couple weeks, it's actually been so dark at night because daylight savings time just happened that around 5 o'clock it's like pitch black. And by the time I get home from work, I can't see anything. Like I couldn't actually make a video even if I wanted to. And then the last reason it's been a little bit is because the US election has been going on, and I've kind of been, paying attention to that. Everyone knows I'm fairly interested in politics, specifically this year, like these next 10 years are just so critically important for humanity that we get real action on protecting the environment and not continuing to essentially let capitalism run rampant and destroy our natural world. This is not just climate change, but it is climate change. It's also, overshoot, deforestation, the use of insecticides, pesticides, how we grow our food, how we treat our topsoils. All of these things are kind of all wrapped up into capitalism, the end of oil, how we transition away from and build the infrastructure so that when we have to transition away from using oil in order to transport everything, we have localized production, localized food systems so that we don't all kind of just starve to death. Some of these things are going to happen slowly. I'm talking over the next 100 years. Some are going to happen faster over the next 10 years. Some things might happen really fast over the next year or two. So the US election is super important because what the U.S. does, what the largest global powerhouse for economy does, sets the stage for what other people do and what other countries do. If the largest economy in the world does nothing about climate change and drill baby drills, then the rest of the world is going to do that, even if it's just because they have to compete economically. Personally, like in terms of the YouTube channel as well, the amount of money that I make for making a video has absolutely crashed because of the US election. So everyone's interested or was interested in watching US politics stuff on YouTube. Things like gardening, the revenue per 1,000 views that I get, absolutely dumpstered, like dumped by like a factor of 10. And then additionally, YouTube changed all this like commercial stuff, so there's mid-roll commercials all through stuff. I can't control any of this anymore. I used to put one, if I had a 20-minute video, I'd put one commercial in at the 10-minute mark. Now YouTube puts commercials every 2 or 3 minutes. It's ridiculous. And my actual revenue for this has gone down. So you guys are watching 20 to 30 times more commercials, but content creators, our revenue's actually gone down. YouTube is just keeping all of that money. Because of that, I'll go in, I'll film a video, I'll edit it, I'll spend 8 to 12 hours making a video, and I'll make like $2 for making a video. So, I don't necessarily want to get rich doing this. I'm doing this to spread a message, like a really important message, in order to kind of normalize caring about the natural world and try to spread that message. But at the same time, it is a little bit difficult when you're doing all of this work and you're getting literally nothing in return. So maybe this is a good spot for if you want to support the channel in a way that actually helps, then you can join the YouTube membership program and actually join that. You can also join me on the Patreon. And that actually is by far the most revenue that I get for this, even though I'm making, much, much, much less than minimum wage doing videos for you guys. So if you enjoy it at all, please support the channel. It actually helps motivate me to keep doing this kind of stuff. So what is actually going on in the food forest right now? Maybe I'll just do a couple, quick shots of things that are going on. And I mostly just wanted to talk about, the US election. And you know what, maybe I'll just talk about that instead. So basically all that we're doing on the food forest right now is shredding up leaves and doing compost, shutting down the pond, and harvesting, the stuff that's left, which is mostly just pawpaws at this point. We ate a couple pears and there's some apples hanging on the tree. But other than that, it's just taking care of the chickens and that kind of thing. We're kind of heading down into, the off season. The other thing we're doing is actually going around picking up leaf bags. So if you have the opportunity to do that, now's a great time to go pick up some free fertility at the bottom of people's driveways. Leaf bags are a great source of browns for composting, and you can even just spread them all in your food forest for mulch and start building that fungal mycelium network in carbon-based mulches and organic material. You can definitely do that. The other thing you can do right now is go around and collect seeds. So seeds are everywhere right now. If you want to add to your food forest, add flowers, then this is the best time of year to actually go and grab a whole bunch of free seeds. So get out there and do that. If you are sick of US politics like I am, and probably most people are, you can actually have a lot of control over your actual day-to-day life by going out and making a change, growing some of your own food, and getting more resilient to the things that are coming. Okay, so US election stuff. It should come to no surprise to anyone who watches this channel that I am very much not a Trump fan. Not to say that I'm not a Republican fan. In the past, I voted largely to the right. Maybe over the last 10-15 years, based off of where the Republicans and my conservatives in Canada have taken their policies on protecting the environment, because that's a huge issue for me. That's like a legacy issue. What kind of legacy do I want to leave for my kids? They've kind of moved away from science, moved towards this weird anti-science, and anything that's anti-science, like anti-vax stuff, they've just embraced. Anything that's kind of anti-intellect, anti-education, saying schools are brainwashing kids, and then there's a huge misinformation push out there. And there's also that happening on the left, absolutely. I'm definitely not a fan of media in general, because it really is pushing an agenda, the left and the right. I just think the right has really kind of gone off the deep end quite a bit. But it's resonated with a lot of people, I guess, in the United States. United States elected Donald Trump, setting a record for electing a convicted felon, someone who his name's all over Epstein's flight logs, who wants to take rights away from women, and is really digging into and spurring like a racist message of hate. Now, I'm not saying the left has been any better about that. I think one reason why Kamala Harris lost this federal election is because they basically just said, that guy's bad, like, don't do that, like, let's not go back there. But they had no plan. In fact, Kamala Harris's website had no policies on it until like a month before the election, and even then it was very, very bare bones stuff. And I think that there's a bit of a double standard in that, Kamala Harris had to be perfect, whereas then when Trump does deranged things, it's just like, oh yeah, that's just that guy, right? But he's real. I like real. And I like real too, but it's nice when the real person is actually a good person. I think a lot of people voted for Trump knowing that he's not a good person. And that kind of, to the rest of the world, is baffling and shocking. Specifically on environment, I'm terrified because in Trump's first term, he repealed like 48, I believe, environmental protections, and it's going to get worse this time. he's actually looking to defund the EPA, defund education, Department of Education, Department of Justice. He's kind of going all in on fascism. And even though the left really kind of pushed this, Trump is, the dictator out of Germany. There's a lot of parallels there as well. It's not all an exaggeration. It's not to that level. I certainly don't think so. We'll see how much Project 2025 he actually brings into the U.S. It impacts Canadians because it normalizes these things. When the last Trump presidency happened, there was a huge uptick in hatred, racism, anti-feminism, and then that kind of pushes the left even further in order to combat that, and we actually get people on the far left pushing into like misandry territory, where they're actually hating on men, specifically white men like myself. I feel a lot of that sometimes coming from YouTube comments. Even if I say anything, I'm a hypocrite because I'm a white guy, and apparently that's inherently bad to some people. And I think that only happened because of what's happening on the right. I think we're just pushing each other further and further apart, and we're just leaving any kind of normalcy and sanity. And I just don't think that kind of division is healthy. And I think that actually gets worse under Trump. That's just my personal opinion. It was never this bad until that happened. So I'm a little afraid of that. I'm mostly afraid of him pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. Not that really did a whole lot. No one's doing anything. Emissions are sky high. And both Kamala and Trump are very pro-fracking, which I understand, because we can't collapse, the economy and collapse civilization. We do still need oil, and a lot of non-gasoline things come out of oil, like medicines and plastics, rubber, things that are crucial for like the environment, or not the environment, the economy, and just the way that civilization operates. We have to find alternative materials to those things, which is an engineering discipline that I'm super interested in. So we have to do that, and we kind of are doing that. There's some really neat mycelium, fungal products that are out there that kind of replace things like rubbers and stuff like that. Anyways, that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. We are working on that. Engineers and scientists are working on those things. But we have to wean ourselves off of coal, oil, and gas. And I just think that that's going to get worse under Trump. And then also, so that's just, climate change stuff and accelerating the end of oil, which is important. Like, it's disconnected from climate change. Accelerating towards the end of oil, there's massive collapses that are going to happen when we can't ship things globally anymore. Prices are going to increase everywhere when we have to buy local. Right now we buy local out of choice to support local, but we know it's way more expensive, and a lot of people just economically can't do that. So when we're forced to do that, it's going to be a big deal. And accelerating towards that by just building a bigger straw that we slurp the oil out of the earth is not a great plan, especially when the rest of that plan is absolutely non-existent. So I think a Trump presidency accelerates us towards the end of oil. It accelerates climate change. 2025 is expected to be well over 1.5 degrees. And there was a report recently that said by 2030, if we're at 2 degrees Celsius, then 1 billion people are going to be expected to die. And like, some of these things are like scary. But it's also, that's not how it works. None of the climate change stuff is binary. It's not like, if we're at 1.5 degrees, this happens, and then we're good. And if we hit 2 degrees, then this happens. 1 billion people die. But we stabilize. That's not how it works. How it works is, the moment we go over 1.5 degrees, every day we spend at those temperatures, permafrost is melting. And when permafrost melts, methane's getting released. There's actually methane explosions right now, creating methane craters in areas where permafrost is melting. All that methane goes into the environment, into the atmosphere. It's 30 to 70 times worse than carbon dioxide, depending on the time scale you're looking. And that accelerates further climate change, which accelerates further ice melting, which not only melts the white ice that's reflecting sun, but it also turns it into blue water and raises the sea levels so that there's more surface area of blue water. That changes the way that the Earth absorbs light and how much light it holds and heat it holds. So that's the Earth's albedo. There's a bunch of feedback loops that start triggering. These feedback loops accelerate us to the next checkpoint. So if we go over 1.5 and we go back under it, we should be kind of okay. We can really delay how long some of these bad things happen. If we just go and blow through 1.5 and stay there for the next 10 years, then we hit 2 degrees by like 2030. We hit 2 degrees by 2030. We have things like the breakdown of the AMOC. We have things like collapse of ecosystems, coral reefs dying, phytoplankton dying, oceans going anoxic, and dead oceans, and how that impacts the rest of the food chains of the world. Everything just snowballs. Everything snowballs from there and accelerates. So it's not like we hit 2 degrees and then it's bad. We lose 1 million people or 1 billion people, but then it's fine. And as long as we don't go any higher, nothing bad happens. This is not how it works. We have to get back down. And every day we spend higher is just accelerating the destruction of the earth and what our children will have to, the quality of the natural world that our children will have access to in order to support life when the end of oil comes, which it is inevitable. So it's really important that we get really strong climate action really early. We've been saying this for like 50 years as scientists. No one's listening. And then to watch the US elect somebody who thinks that climate change is fake and that science is all fake, and seeing that kind of comment on my YouTube channel over the last 4 years and seeing that sentiment growing is really terrifying in terms of being a scientist, an engineer, and caring about the world that we leave our kids. It's disheartening. So that's the mental space that I've been in for the last while. That's why I haven't really been making a ton of videos, and then for those other reasons as well. But anyways, I don't know. I don't have anything positive to leave this on, other than hopefully if you're watched this long, then you're kind of as invested as me. Help spread the word. We have to normalize that we have to do something about the climate. We have to normalize that we have to care about the world. We have to normalize that that's more important than the price of eggs in the store. Because that increase in inflation is going to just ramp up and get way more drastic as civilization collapses, as the end of oil comes. And if we accelerate towards that before we've actually built any infrastructure, by having people grow more food at home, by having things happen more locally, then we're in big trouble. And I'm really afraid of the world that we leave our kids. So I guess I'll leave you with that. So I'll see you on the next one. And consider supporting the channel, and maybe I'll try to make more videos more often. But I'm pretty disheartened right now. Anyways, I'm sure you're where I am. Talk to you later.